Hey, it's Michelle at Counseling Recovery, and today I'm going to talk about codependent relationships and what it means to start recovering from them because they're really painful. Part of codependency is really basically putting somebody else's needs before your own. And how we do that when we're codependent is we're really good at giving and helping and being super responsible, but the problem is that we burn ourselves out in the process. And we neglect our own self-care in the process, which is why codependents tend to struggle with a lot of resentment and hurt in their relationships. So when I was thinking about today's video and I was looking at some of the comments on my page, I was thinking about, the hardest thing as a codependent, and I know it was for me, is to not put all of my emotional eggs in one person's basket. Whether that's a friend, your mate, your child, a parent, you have to be careful because the minute you put all of your emotional eggs in one person's basket, the amount of expectation you have is going to be enormous. And nobody is going to be able to fulfill that. And I know I did that a couple years back, about 5 years back, with a friend. And we were super close and it was a great friendship, but it blew up. And I learned a lot about my codependency in that friendship because I realized that I was putting too much into that relationship versus having a really good friend and taking care of myself, having other relationships, making sure I was my own best friend, not just being a best friend. Because part of codependency is, we're really good at relationship in some ways because we're really caring, we're nurturing, we like to help, and all of those are great traits, right? And I don't want you guys to change those things. I think at the core of a codependent person is a huge heart, and that's what you want to preserve. But the part we want to change is that dependency part, that part where I can't matter without you, or I need your approval, or I need to be liked in order to feel good about myself. That's the part that it gets really dicey. So recovery, the hard part is not how do I better my relationship, although that's somewhat part of it. It's really about how do I better myself so that I'm in a healthier place, and then as a result, my relationships are actually more balanced and healthy. That's hard. That's really hard for a codependent because, again, a codependent person, and I will volunteer myself as the example, we like to be enmeshed. We like to be super close. And the problem is that often suffocates people. And I had to learn over many years that I was suffocating people, my friends, and I had to really step back and look at that. And now, I can actually be my own best friend, meaning I can think about what I need, keep my own company, do things that make me feel good. I don't always have to stay connected to other people. And I think when you're codependent, that desire for approval and validation is so big that we forget that by wanting that from other people, we're actually giving them our power. So it really doesn't work well long term. And I myself had to learn how to reverse that because putting all your emotional eggs in one person's basket will flop eventually, no matter who you do it with. Even if it's your mate, even if it's someone you're committed to lifetime, it's just too hard and it's too much expectation for that other person to fulfill all your needs versus taking responsibility for your needs yourself. So that's kind of the bad news with codependency recovery, honestly, is that it's not about fixing other people so that the relationship is healthier. It's about fixing you so you're healthier and how you can be less dependent on them for approval, validation, support. Because, of course, you want to have healthier friendships. And part of that is looking at yourself and how do you take care of yourself? And how do you keep yourself calm and serene so that you don't always look to other people for that. So I hope this has been helpful for you. I do have some codependent worksheets that I'm going to put in the link of this post. They're about self-care and setting boundaries because recovery from codependency is not for the weak. This is an ongoing process that doesn't tie up in a neat little bow. It's not something you're going to do for 2 months and say, okay, I'm done. I've been doing this for almost 30 years and I'm never going to be done. There's always going to be more to do, because that's just the nature of growth, is that we always want to stay awake in terms of how we're living our life, the quality of our relationships, how we're taking care of ourselves, where we need to set boundaries or detach from somebody else's chaos because maybe it's none of our business and we need to stay calm ourselves. So there's just a lot with codependency, and I'm also going to be working on a workbook. So I'm going to hopefully get that done for a Black Friday sale, but we'll see. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful for you. If you are struggling in codependency, you are not alone. There are millions of us fighting the fight with you, and I would highly recommend checking out Al-Anon or Coda for additional support, because the one thing about codependency recovery is I do not recommend doing it in isolation. You really need other people to see you, to hear you, to validate you, to show you where your blind spots are, because I can't recover alone. I have to have other people, a sponsor, friends, therapy, things like that, so that I can see, or I can be helped to see my blind spots. And the one thing I'll say, though, is that codependency recovery is by far the best thing I've ever done in my life, other than having my son, because it has given me the most bang for my buck in terms of how I feel about myself and the kind of relationships I'm building. So even though it is a long haul, I will definitely recommend it to my dying day, because if you can start to feel better about yourself, that's going to go a long way in you being able to keep some serenity and live a better life. So I hope this helps. I'll leave the link to this post for 12 writing prompts for self-care and setting boundaries in codependency. I think it's going to really help, and I hope this video helped. All right, bye.